Good morning once again, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our second session of this morning. If you haven't met me already, my name is Rachel McIntosh, and I'm a journalist and podcast host at Finance Magnates. I'm going to be your MC for this event, and I'm also going to be the moderator for this session, which I am so excited about. So a little bit of context. As we all know, 2020 presented our industry with a very unique set of challenges, and 2021 has presented even more. However, as Mohamed said, every crisis presents an opportunity. Therefore, the real challenge is to be ready to act in the right way at the right time. So I'm absolutely thrilled to join with these 5 executives of some of the largest companies in our industry to discuss the challenges, opportunities, and the lessons that they have learned throughout the pandemic. Each of these experts will introduce themselves in just a moment, but I'll introduce them all briefly. Now, we have Demis Gavrielides, the Vice President of Business Development and Sales for GCC and South Asia at MetaQuotes. Jacob Plattner, the Group CEO of Scope Markets. Nidal Abdalati, the Chief Executive of Credit Financier Invest. Mohammad Isbeer, the Head of Global Brokerage Sales at Equiti Group. And Shay Benamou, the CEO of Airsoft. So we're going to speak about the pandemic, the effect of Wall Street bet saga, and the potential for growth in this new industry landscape, and hopefully get a glimpse into the future of online trading. So, gentlemen, I'll ask all of you to turn on your microphones if you haven't done so already. And I'll ask each one of you to introduce yourselves a little bit more thoroughly, and we'll just go all the way down the line, starting with Demis.
Hello everyone, thank you for inviting me to participate at this panel, and welcome iFx in Dubai. My name is Demis. I'm working with MetaQuotes, and I'm in business development department, responsible mainly with projects that we are doing with integrations with exchanges and of course new features developing for our clients, and here in MENA region, GCC and Asia. Thank you.
Thank you, Demis. Okay.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Shay Benamou. I'm the CEO of Airsoft Technology. We're a full turnkey technology company catering to the fintech industry, crypto, forex, CFDs. Enjoy the show.
Morning, everyone. My name is Jacob Plattner. I'm the Group CEO of Scope Markets. Scope Markets is an online global brokerage. We have a number of different licenses throughout the world, offering a number of different products. Look very much forward to the panel and enjoy, hopefully.
Hi, everyone. This is Mohamed Spear from Equiti Group. I'm the global head of brokerage sales, and Equiti Group is a multi-asset liquidity provider. We have more than 5 different licenses around the globe, and we have 10 offices around the globe as well in different continents. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Nidal. I'm the CEO of CFI, a DFSA company here in Dubai, in Emirates. I'm pleased to be joined over here with industry leaders, and finally to be able to see people face to face after a very long time. And yeah, looking forward for the discussion.
Absolutely. Thank you, all of you. And just to let our audience know, we reserved about 10 minutes at the end of this discussion to take questions from you. So if you have any questions, write them down. Don't forget, we'll get to you at the end. And for our panelists, each one of these questions is going to be initially directed at one person, but feel free to jump in at any time. So we'll start with Nidal. Nidal, one of the major trends that's been identified over the past 18 months is a large-scale entry of new traders into capital markets, particularly retail traders. So I want to ask you about your personal experience. Did you observe this at CFI? And can you speak a little bit about that experience? What were the challenges? What were the opportunities associated with this big influx into our industry?
Yes, thank you very much. That's very true. I mean, last year, to say the least, was very challenging.
Yes.
Luckily enough for some industries, we were already prepared, if you want, because we are online dependent. So the fact of working from home or being so dependent on not really a physical kind of interaction was already there. So that was that. Of course, a lot of companies had to take some measures to make sure that business continuity and that even the individuals, the employees, the teams are prepared for such a new experience. At the same time, when it comes to the trading, the business, we have seen, as you said, we have seen a huge increase of demand. Many reasons, of course, all of you would, or most of you would know it. The social trading, the coverage in the news about some stocks and about the movement in the market. It brought like a new layer, if you want, of traders, speculators, social speculation that they had about X company or Y stock that went up and moved, and everyone wanted to go in. At the same time, the dependency and the availability of new applications, new access that everyone can get. In the old days, if you wanted to go into a certain investment, you had to go through like a company, a broker, or you needed even a certain minimum amount to do that. Those days, with as minimum as $100, anyone, a teenager or a college kid, can get access, can enter the market. So this, plus to the social media, plus like what we heard in the last recently about some companies affected by those kind of social traders, brought in this layer of new people or young people that wanted to go into this market. Of course, it brings in new business. At the same time, we need always to be careful that is this sustainable, or it's just a wave of speculation, people coming in, looking into getting like a capital gain for a short period of time and then disappearing. So we're happy about it. We see an increase in that, but at the same time, we're quite cautious looking into what's next, what's coming with the financial market. Is going to continue like that, just having this application and just depositing through a credit card, or something else is going? So it's still something to see. What I believe that what we did and what I believe other companies should do is always look into expand their products. In the old days, when you were talking about brokers and FX, it was mainly focused, located on CFDs, on FX. I think right now the sustainability or the continuity of any business is to expand it. You need to have much more kind of products. You need to expand the services, the automation, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, I would like to add to that. I mean, I agree with Nidal 100%, and I think the biggest wave of new investor came in. I mean, definitely started with the volatility that happened in the FX market, and then gold, and you know what happened with oil. So it definitely got the attention of a lot of investors. But then there was a huge move also on the equities market, and everybody started to relate more because that move was on Amazon and on Netflix and so on and so forth. So they start to relate more. And then you have this new wave of clients that not only focus on FX and CFDs, but they're more interested in single stocks and equities. And then came the cryptos wave as well. And you know, all of this is happening during a period where people have been losing their jobs and been getting pay cuts and et cetera, et cetera. So people were actually looking for new investments. For me, the most important part of it is that there was a lot of regulatory changes before that. So the industry, the FX industry, has started to gain a lot more trust. And then the volatility happened and all that movement happened. It was just the right time and the right place. And luckily, as Nidal said, most of the brokers had the infrastructure to be able to scale their product range and be able to accept that kind of business and grow their business.
Yeah, I think both of you have hit the nail pretty much square on the head with that. One of the interesting things about our industry is it was very well prepared. I think this is one of the things that the industry has that a lot of other industries didn't. It is technically an IT-based business. Everything is online, from onboarding to how the clients interact. In some cases, to the point where it's almost extreme in that regard. But the part that is interesting is, it was always difficult in some ways to get people interested in a product which they don't really know anything about. Like most people don't understand finance or why an equity product might move or why euro dollar is, okay, I understand euro, I understand dollar, but why are they traded together? In a lot of cases, this is difficult, and I come from a sales background. You come from a sales background. Sometimes it's very difficult to get a client to understand that. And the fact that everybody was from home and they were looking for new things, and as you said, new ways to invest or new things to do, the industry was very well prepared not only to offer a product that was new to somebody, but also to be able to teach them, and to teach them from a distance. And these things, I think, really open the eyes to the world of, finance is available to us. There's lots of places we can do it. And because the industry has evolved, also there's lots of regulatory options for places to be set up where clients just don't have access to this or didn't have access to it, and especially in their own local markets. And I think this was one of the best things that we saw from the industry. It was well prepared, and it was able to actually offer something new to people that were looking for something new.
Absolutely. Thank you all. And our next question is for Demis. So Demis, as we've all been talking about, you've observed that we've had this huge wave of new traders, new people who need to learn, perhaps people who don't have almost any experience in trading and in finance. So I want to talk a little bit about the infrastructural challenges associated with that. It's something we've touched on a little bit already, but specifically with the technical challenges, not only in terms of trading infrastructure, but also in terms of this educational infrastructure that you've mentioned. How did you sort of rise to that challenge?
Yeah, that's a very good point and important thing to talk about, because with the huge demand that has been in the recent year generated for brokers, they are facing big infrastructural challenges which we as MetaQuotes, as no one else in the industry, can understand and see the needs of the industry players. And for last 20 years, we have developed and we continue developing innovations and solutions and services that helps the industry to face this kind of challenges and problems and issues that they're facing, of course. And today traders are not the same like 10 years ago.
Right.
They are more informed, they are more demanding, and even, let's say, algo trading a few years ago or 10 years ago, it was not the same, right? It was only for few, and even the mobile trading was not there, right? So now technology is much more forward. And the industry has faced the challenge of huge volumes. All right,
Absolutely.
and there is, I'm sure you're aware about major platforms that these days they face downtimes due to huge volumes. And we as MetaQuotes, we reacting to this by switching our clients from our old generation system of 32 bits to the newest technology, which is MetaTrader 5, as you know, of course. And but when we're talking about onboarding of new clients right now, one of the main challenges that the industry is facing is growing demand from regulators and authorities. And now manual intervention into that, it takes time, it costs money, and here different KYC providers coming into MetaTrader.
Right, of course.
So what we did, we have integration with different services. For example, Salmon Substance is already in MT5, and other providers are in the list. And through this solution, the broker can effectively onboard the client and do everything online with the help of the KYC provider services. So the verification of the client accounts and documents, it takes only 2 minutes. In one click, you allowed your client, I mean, how we solve this challenge? we provide to the broker, we give the opportunity to make the client to trade faster or sooner, right? So decrease the manual work or involving of compliance department into this. Plus, in the same time, support more than 2,500 different types of documents that you can just simply in a couple of minutes to get verified. And we're talking about in 150 countries and territories. So after that, every single challenge or barrier, it brings you something else.
Absolutely.
Okay? And now, while you're on board or enroll the client, there is a new question coming up for brokers is to open new markets. So which is always there, right? And with optimum cost, of course. And one of our latest developments that has been also introduced into the financial world is the Finteza Analytics, which is end-to-end analytical engine built into MetaTrader 5 server and allows the broker to provide more precise analytical reports and get analytical reports in order to track the client until the final stage and until opening the account, because the Finteza is built into the MetaTrader server. It's not till the website level, for example. So all this, and in addition to that, I would like to mention a few points about our latest development that we have done.
Yes, please.
Is the automation services. My colleague Chris later on will speak more about this and more details regarding this feature, but it's also related to these challenges that industry is facing, right? Because technology is moving fast, right? It's moving forward, and there is a lot of processes that brokers are facing. For example, service maintenance. We're talking about different processes on trading or marketing campaigns. And all this can be automated right now on the level of MetaTrader 5. And from our perspective also, I would like to mention that we continue developing. While I'm talking now, our technical teams, they are developing and they're creating new innovations and solutions that helps the industry and those markets that are coming into the online right now. And we're talking about commodities and physical stocks and everything to support with latest developments on that.
Fantastic. Does anybody have anything to add, particularly about this great point that you make, Demis, about entering new markets and how these new infrastructures may have sort of facilitated or allowed finance to enter into new spaces?
Yeah, I mean, I think I can add a little bit to, I think you're right in general. One of the biggest problems the industry faced was more around onboarding as opposed to liquidity or, in some cases even credit, although we did see some credit related issues, especially in the equity world. The FX industry and I think the CFD industry in general didn't have any really pricing problems, if you would say, to a large degree. Onboarding, I think we saw it across a number of different bigger entities, smaller entities. Yeah, you can collect documents and there's lots of technologies to decide whether that document is fake or not, but it doesn't always, matter whether the document is a legitimate document or not. You still have to go through and test the technology and make sure that what it's spitting back out at you is real. And in some markets, that just doesn't work. There is a lot of manual intervention in different markets that you need. And also, because the market has become such a multi-asset business, our industry, I should say, you have a number of different products which have, for example, U.S. equities. You got to take a W-8 form if you want to pay a dividend. At least that's the right way of doing it. Automating that, making that process smooth. Not every client might want to trade a U.S. equity. So you really have to rethink, and the industry's been doing this, so I don't think it's necessarily new, but you had to do it very quickly in order to keep up with demand and to keep up with what clients might be coming and knocking on your door for. All of a sudden, you weren't having to go and spend so much marketing dollars in acquisition if you had a bit of a brand, because people were searching for it. Whereas opposed, in previous years, you really had to create that demand. Now, when you look at onboarding, and especially when you do it globally and in different regulated entities, it is a beast. It's a beast in terms of how you have to report, how you have to go back and check and make sure that what was done correctly. While automation is there and you have a lot of technology, and I think if we look across the board, we used to see all payments. Everybody was worried about payments, but now everybody is worried about how they onboard their clients as well and what technology exists for that. And I think this is one of the things that, again, has been a big change in the industry that the industry was looking at anyways. But at least for, I think, myself, and I won't speak for everybody else, but that is a difficult thing and one that you really have to continue to look at and work on.
Absolutely, yes. And Shai, did you have something to add also?
Yeah, I was going to talk a little bit about what you mentioned, products and the landscape and where we're going. Obviously, these are very important, like the integration that are needed in the industry today. And what Jacob mentioned, that you need to obviously adapt to different markets that you're working on. But I think the most important thing is to look at the landscape. At Airsoft, we always were in tune to our clients, to the markets, to trends. My colleagues here have been talking about US equities, CFD, single stock, Forex, but there's a lot of discussion in the last year about crypto. And crypto in 2021 or the end of 2020 is no longer Bitcoin or Ethereum or ERC20. We're talking about DeFi, swaps, all these things. And these are things that nobody spoke about before 2020.
Right.
And this again goes back to education and having these type of products available to our clients. We're B2B, we're not retail, so some of my colleagues here were relating to retail business, but on a B2B level, first of all, to allow our partners, we have over 200 white label partners, to have access to those products, to have access to education about those products, and for them to filter it down to their teams and their crews and their salespeople. And I think that's really a big key, because this world is expanding. Okay.
Absolutely.
Again, I got over 25 years experience in capital markets. And when I started, we used to pick up the phone and ask to buy IBM. Today it doesn't work like that. So, and the scope has changed. And if I can just touch a little bit more about some of the stuff that was discussed here about information. There's a lot of information out there. And excuse me, but a lot of it is horseshit. You need to know what you're doing. A guy today that works out 4 times a week and has 1,000 followers on Instagram thinks he's a trainer.
True.
And a guy that trades 4 or 5 times a week thinks he's an asset manager. This doesn't work like that. So there's a lot of bad information. You need to know how to filter it. You need to know how to channel it. You need to know how to communicate that to your clients, because that's really where, at the end of the day, the retail clients are going to lose money. When you follow a bunch of these guys that are running stocks or running cryptos, the end is not nice. All right? And we don't want that. We want good user experience. We want traders to enjoy the experience of trading, to be there for the long term. And that's something that we've invested a lot at Airsoft with, disseminating good information, allowing access to research, being more proactive when communicating that to our clients over the last year.
Yes.
A small addition from my side as well. Like Shay said, and I agree 100%, there's the demands between retail and B2B are completely different. But what I think is it's a whole ecosystem that needs to also kind of connect together. So between the trading software, between the aggregation engine, PSPs, onboarding, and even web servicing portals, and etc. So all of this has to work as a full ecosystem and dynamically interchanged with each other. And this is what creates, I think, the new industry in its new shape, and how we improve the client journey to the best level.
Yeah. And actually, Mohamed, my next question was for you about precisely this ecosystem where, we have sort of integrated education, the technical infrastructure, the regulatory infrastructure. How do we present that in an accessible and user-friendly way, especially for new users who are entering the space?
Look, I would like to say to begin with that I think the digitization of the industry was not caused by the pandemic. I think it was been going for a long time, but the pandemic has definitely accelerated it, and it sure made it a must. It's not something that you have to start 5 years from now or even tomorrow. You have to start today if you're not in it. And I would start by saying that a lot of the brokers have already adopted a cloud-based solutions before the pandemic, and the true value of the cloud that showed itself clearly when the pandemic happened, because there was a huge growth in trading activity and clients and volumes, et cetera, and all brokers have been able to scale their technological infrastructure massively with a straightforward process. I would also agree that the client acquisition has made us all think the dynamics of it has made us think of how to improve our client's journey, and especially during the pandemic when everybody was working remotely, so there wasn't a lot of actual support on the ground. So, and not only by using web portal services, but also by the introduction of a lot of AI models and chatbots that made the onboarding process quite easy, and without adding any heavy lifting on the company itself. Complementary to that, the web service portals definitely allowed clients to access huge amount of information from educational material, from FAQs, learn how to trade, and so on and so forth. So the client goes into a web servicing portal, and they probably will be able to manage their entire experience. And again, without adding a major load on the client servicing functions, and keeping the client satisfaction to the highest levels, because this is what they want. Clients don't really want to speak all the time and bother the company with their questions. And so if you make everything available, everything is intuitive, everything is targeted to all client segments, the pandemic and this era has definitely pushed us into that faster.
Yes, and Nidal, go ahead.
Yeah, I totally agree with Mohammed. I mean, before just having like an educational material or a video that explains, it was just like an added value or an option. Right now, clients have this information, leads have this information, everyone have this information in the web. So it's not enough anymore that you just come and say, okay, we have an introductory training or some video I can send to you to do it. It must be like something extra. Clients even are looking not for the education itself, but for the after service. We're talking about the what kind of follow-up, what kind of customized even. Before you used to deal with one report that sometimes you pay for it, sometimes it's free, and it gives you a highlight on the majors, the currencies, and that's it. But right now, companies are going down even for the individual. If we know for a client, for example, is interested in Tesla, or a client is interested in pound or gold, you even customize it for that client, because right now it's not just the basics or the spreads, the commission, because saying it like out loud, it's almost the same. I mean, most companies, when it comes to the cost and those things, but it's coming down to that extra step that you take to your clients, the follow-up, customizing even the WhatsApp automation service, and so on and so forth. So it's challenging, but what happened demanded the companies to take an additional step, either to step up to gain those clients, not only by marketing or the onboarding process, but it's the after sale itself.
Yes, and I want to remind our audience that we will be taking questions from all of you in about 10 or 12 minutes, so be sure to write down your questions as they come up. But this next question is for you, Jacob. So we've talked around this a little bit with some of the effects of this event, but let's just talk about it directly. The GameStop event that happened earlier this year. So I want to know from your perspective, what did this saga teach us about the world of online trading? And in your personal experience, were there any operational changes that your company made or considered making as a result of GameStop?
Yeah, so in terms of what we learned, I mean, we weren't offering the product when it happened, and I don't think it was something we were looking to offer after either. But with that being the case, I think the industry has a how to say it nicely. Like we kind of talk about investing or trading, and really what we're talking about is investment, or in my opinion, gambling, which we have a nice word for called speculation.
Right.
And what we learned is that actually the client base, if they see a good reason to speculate or gamble, they will. And when they do it in masses, they can do what they might think are amazing things, but I think what the industry saw are very dangerous things.
Right.
Not all products should be leveraged. This is one of the things that we looked at, certainly internally. Where do we leverage certain products? How not only, you have a responsibility, right? Like not only to offer the right product under the right terms and conditions to your clients, but also to make sure that those terms and conditions aren't just competitive with my peers, but also that it allows me to, continue to run my business, that it allows me to continue to do business. And, I think the whole world saw this as like, okay, well, the retail world is now taking on some of the biggest players in the world, and the biggest players in the world don't want to be taken on by the masses. And I don't think this is true. I think the industry, not the industry, but certainly a lot of the clients didn't understand that this wasn't necessarily a liquidity problem, this was a credit problem. And this comes to the point where we looked at, okay, what products are we going to offer? How do we offer them? Are we doing it right? From an internal perspective versus, how is Equiti, for example, or CFI offering these products? It wasn't anymore about sort of what they're doing. It's about what are we doing and really why are we doing it and how does that help our clients? How does it allow us to continue as a business? And I think one of the interesting things that, we keep touching on it, education is just not where it needs to be for our industry. It's not interactive enough. It's not good enough. Shai mentioned it. There's so much misinformation in the market. And in some cases, as an industry, we're not good enough yet in terms of policing ourselves and saying, listen, this is how it should be done. This is wrong. Don't just go with it because it gets you extra clients. Or don't go with it because, it might put you on the edge a little bit. I think it's really important. It brought an important lesson and made us look, again, a lot more deeply as to how we offer products correctly in ways that we wanted to do it, not just ways that our competition was doing it.
Thank you so much. Yeah, Nidal, do you have something to add?
I mean, I totally agree with you, but it also opened our eyes that it's not only the hedge funds and the big companies, I would say, that moves the market. I mean, definitely that the companies paid more attention to their risk management, to the leverage that they're giving to the clients, and so on and so forth. But I think two things came out that a lot of the companies realized the strength of the social trading, which wasn't really something before. It was just a discussion, and some people would argue this stock or that stock, but we saw that the strength of a bulk coming in, that they can do something. And definitely the second thing is to follow Elon Musk's tweet.
Yes. Okay. And Shai, I want to direct this next question at you. So, keeping all of this in mind, this newfound power of social trading, the need for better education in our industry, more interactive education in our industry, as well as the technical challenges that have arisen as a result of the pandemic, as the result of Wall Street bets and everything else that's happened over the last 10 years, as Mohammed was saying earlier. What can we, in an ideal world, let's say, what should the future of online trading look like?
Well, what we said and what my colleagues touched. Hear me? Yeah? No, sorry.
Are we good? Okay.
I think it's a matter of continuing education. I think that it's a matter of increased regulatory oversight, but in the right way. I personally think that the GameStop story was completely fumbled by the regulators, and I think they probably did the worst thing they could do instead of actually stopping it, because to take down an account, Twitter or Instagram takes a second, and I think what they did, they just put more fuel to the fire.
Exactly.
Even Elon Musk's comments 3 months ago, last week, I mean, these are things that should be dealt with on a regulatory level, because at the end of the day, it harms the business. At the end of the day, it harms the growth, and it gives the financial industry a bad name. That's where I see it. Right? So again, I think regulation should be more prominent in a smart way. I believe in regulation, but there's also, we've seen in the history of finance what over-regulation or irresponsible regulation can do. So that's really how I see the future. I do believe that also, I mean, we're talking about regulation with regards to information available, but I do believe also, and again, talking for, fintech companies here on the stage, I think they should also be looking into you said infrastructure. So, I mean, everybody here, I'm sure, had a conversation with the CTO at one point or another before 2020 about redundancy plans, a disaster recovery, infrastructure, and all that thing. I think that really came into effect a lot more in 2020, 2021. I think I can speak for ourselves really early at the beginning of the pandemic. I'm talking about late February, beginning of March 2020, we already installed the various protocols to, first of all, to communicate to our clients that, we're here. The infrastructure is stable, will be available to you if it's remote or from the office, because this is something new to everybody. So I do believe that that's also going to come into effect more and more in 2021, 2022, which has not been discussed at all. So that's also, it's our responsibility, obviously, to continue to give stable platform, stable environment and infrastructure to the trading industry and to our partners, to our clients.
Thank you, Shai. And before we head to questions from the audience, I'd like to end our discussion with a little lightning round. So what we'll do is just go down the line as we did at the beginning. If each of you had to boil down sort of the last 18 months into maybe 90 seconds in terms of the most important things that you've learned, professionally, that your company has changed, what would that be? What would the most important things be? So we'll start with Demis, and we'll head all the way down before we head to questions from the audience.
Sure. Actually, we have seen that last year was very profitable for most of our clients, and I believe my fellow friends here will agree with that. And from our perspective, we as I mentioned previously, we have seen and realized that there is a lot of market players, due to business models they run, they were very affected big time. So that's why from our side, what we did, we adjust our pricing policy right now from the company, and in order to help the industries like bullion or physical commodity companies to onboard into online trading. And and within this period of time, of course, we believe, and something that we have been learned, that we should be doing this time before, And from our side, we are looking to onboard new clients with these changes that we did recently. And our message to all is to trade online and stay safe.
Thank you, Demis.
Again, being completely honest, I think that everybody, if you want to be honest, at the beginning of March 2020 or entire March 2020, it was complete chaos on a global pandemic level. Nobody really knew what was going on. To answer your question, what surprised me, first of all, for us, it was a great period of time because of everything we've discussed here over the last 18 months. But what really surprised me is loyalty.
Okay.
I've seen a lot of our brands, our existing brands, maybe for them also, their life and the world was put under different light and perspective, and they understood.
Are we good? Okay. Thank you.
And sorry, thank you. And I think the loyalty part really came about, and it's mutual. Obviously, we did a lot of things for our clients to help them. Different situations that they required our help because they were also working remotely. But I was really, really surprised by the loyalty of the industry, of clients, employees, on a general level and a human level, not only a business level.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah, I think for us, one, I think that came out of this is there's just no substitute for preparation and organization. If you were already thinking about not a pandemic, obviously, but how to be prepared for big shifts and when things change, when demand is there, and to have the right experience and the right people in the organization, and to also structure that properly. There's just no substitute for it. In places where we were well prepared, we did great. In places where we weren't, we didn't. In places where we lacked experience, we didn't do so great. In places where we had it, we did really well. I think the other thing, Shai touched on it, how to manage people, especially when you have multiple offices around the globe, how to manage them from afar when everybody's worried about not only the business, but their lives. Everything is changing. Everybody's talking about how deadly a virus is, and you're trying to keep up with demand and stay in business. So from a psychological standpoint, you start to realize how important your HR department can be. How important it is for you to, as Shai said, to realize that the people we work with, they're human. They don't just come to work to do a job. They also have lives and family. This was something that I think I learned a lot about. Being a CEO of a group. It was really, really hard psychologically for myself, and I think for a lot of our staff. How to do that and how to do it properly. That wasn't something, well, at least in my business, that we were necessarily prepared for. And I'd like to think that we've done a good job managing it, and we're better prepared now.
Thank you, Jacob.
I mean, my points are definitely in line with everything that has been said. For me, it's three points mainly. First of all is contingency planning, and being prepared is important. I mean, a lot of people have looked at contingency planning before, and just like an additional thing that the regulator is asking for, but it's proved to be 100% of the essence. The other thing is that, as I said before, the digitization era is now. Mm-hmm. It cannot wait. If anyone, like Shay said, have a talk with your CTO, it needs to start now. You have to go fully digital starting today. And the most important thing and the most important point is you are as good as the team around you. And that has proved a lot during the pandemic, because it's not just because we're sitting next to each other and we're dealing with each other. Even if you are continents away and working from your bedroom on a Zoom call, if you have the right team, they will help you and they will push your business and you will achieve your target. So I would like to say a huge thank for all the Equiti family across the world for the major effort they have done during this time.
Thank you, Mohamed.
Yeah, I mean, it's in line with everyone that just said. It's like when it comes to the accessibility and working from home, most of the companies were ready to do that. The thing that was an eye-opener is just like, it's not only giving that access to the end user, to the client, but there is the other side of it, which is the team, which is the employees of the company. We're talking about a person sitting in a room and just doing that work. So a lot of the companies, HR, management, CEOs focused also on that to keep that morale up, so that that person in different departments be able to do that job day to day from home, not going out in their pajamas sometimes, a kid running in sometimes. So it wasn't really the perfect time for that. The other thing I would say that a lot of the companies also are starting to look at is to be able to have way much more flexibility with the core even infrastructure. Like, yes, true that you have access to all the clients, you can give them all of those things, but we saw a lot also of changes in the technology. So you might have to even decide to change a liquidity, a core, a kind of price aggregator. We also what happened with the crude oil rollover. So this kind of changes were not even something on the map or within the strategy, because a disaster recovery would be related to the hardware, to the cloud, to the systems and those things. Now we're talking about the vendors, the major things, the partnerships and all of those things. So I think there's a lot of changes coming in. There's a lot of major budget will be increased to maintain the business going forward, but it's a good thing that happened that way, I would say.
Thank you so much, Nidal. And it's time for questions from all of you. So be brave and raise your hands if you have a question. Jenny, our lovely assistant, will bring the microphone directly to you, so don't worry about getting up. Not everyone at once. Yes, thank you. Thank you so much.
It's working? Okay.
Yes.
Hi. My question is regarding the payment solutions, what mostly the clients don't know how to use, or I missed the beginning of the speech over here. I'm just wondering if there was any questions regarding how the clients are using the funding solutions. What happens when the clients make a chargeback? What happens when it comes to legal decisions?
Great question. Who wants to jump in?
So I'm not sure if I understand it. Is it like how can the client choose the payment? Which payment solution to use, or the company side, which solution to use?
When the client decides to go along with the company, decides to make a funding or credit card or bank transfer, what happens next? How the client is handled when he changes his mind, when he decides to go legal steps, for example, chargeback, police report. These are, by my experience, they are many.
Okay, so, oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. I mean, from our side, when dealing with payments for clients, we look at localization as much as we can. We want the payment service that we're offering them in order to pay into their trading account to be localized. If they can't pay into their trading account, our services are not very useful. So from that standpoint, I think everybody, and I don't think anybody up here would say anything different, we look at local products as much as we can. From a legal perspective, you have to have a legal framework around how clients are onboarded, what terms and conditions they sign up for, what happens when they feel that they've either been misled or have missold. In most cases, I can say happily with our company, we don't have chargebacks. One, in a lot of places, we're not really working predominantly with credit cards like I think Europe has done previously. So from that standpoint, this comes again to organization and preparation. Like, you have to be able to offer terms and conditions and sell to your clients in a suitable fashion. And if you're doing that, in general terms, it's not such a, at least for us, it wasn't a big issue. Payments always have to be localized, in my opinion. If they're not, we generally don't enter markets where we can't find local solutions.
Oh my goodness, okay.
If I could just add, from
Of course.
Jacob was relating to his experience in the retail industry, but from in the business industry, going back to technology and how technology has affected our businesses. We started integrating to different types of cashiers over the last couple of years. I think you see more and more cashiers at events like this, and that's, again, it shows that there is a need for that type of service. A cashier can help you to, with cascading of different payment PSPs, payment solution providers, to manage your risk and your exposure versus various PSPs that you're dealing with. So again, this is tools from a technology point of view to try to fight or to improve payments issues today.
Yes. Anyone else? Okay, do we have any more questions from our audience? Yes, a couple. Okay. Jenny will bring the microphone to you.
Hi. My question's around sort of where you guys are looking in terms of growth areas for your business, and sort of what you're most excited about over the next sort of 12 to 18 months. If you could pick one thing that you think, do you know what, this is a game changer for our business, what would it be?
I mean, I would say probably is adding more instruments, being more multi-assets. The more, between equities and derivatives and maybe ETFs and going into cryptos as well. The more you can offer, the more you grow, because there's a major wave coming into the market now, and it's not only FX and CFDs. It's wide, and you just need to be as multi-asset as you can be. I think this is the major growth that's going to happen in the next couple of months.
Yeah, I agree with that point, definitely, that more products is important, but at the same time, we see more and more regulation coming in, and our industry is becoming really highly regulated, like regionally, right? So we believe at CFI that one of the major things that we are doing right now is physical expansion, so that we can serve different markets, because right now it's not as easy as before, that you can just do some marketing online over there and just get some leads. You need physically to fulfill some local regulations and to access that market. So I think that's also something that must be done.
Yeah, I mean, I think the product side's right. Like, the industry is looking at what products it can offer, especially on the physical side, whether it be cash equities or in some cases cryptos. But I've said it a little bit while I've been up here. I think education, especially interactive education, is really, really important. And I think content, at the end of the day, everybody's in front of a screen. They're not, they have free time when they're working from home. If content wasn't king before, it sure is now. And if you can produce good content that is relative to an audience, to the services that you provide, I think there's just amazing room for growth in that regard.
Thank you. And I think we have time for one more question. One more question from the audience. Anybody? Yes. Okay. Great. Thank you.
Hello, thank you everyone. My name is Margarita. I wanted to ask you, with the pandemic, of course, you faced a lot of attention to your companies, to the FX industry in general. Was it also accompanied with the attention of fraudsters? Like, did you face any fraudulent activities, either like a credit card fraud or any other like identity theft fraud? And if you did face this problem, how did you address this? Thank you.
Thank you, Margarita. Yeah, I'm also curious. Sorry, just with the influx of new traders and the infrastructural challenges, was an increased level of fraud also among those challenges?
Nothing more than usual, I would say, because we were more dependent on technology. So I would say no. I mean, nothing extra happened or an increase, I would say, an outstanding increase in that sense? No, not really.
I agree with Nidal. We haven't seen any extra fraudulent activities or extraordinary. The opposite, I think people have just been focused on trading and, because everyone has been working online and we had all these contingency planning and a lot of firewalls and all of that because everybody was working online. It was, I think, a little bit better than usual.
I can't really add much more. We didn't see any increase in fraud. We didn't see any more increase in attempts. And I think most of the markets that we're in, we were well prepared for this anyways. I mean, you have to deal with this when you open your doors anyways. If you don't, they will come. So from that standpoint, at least I echo their comments. We didn't see anything new or an increase.
All right. Dimas, Shai, Jacob, Mohammed, Nidal, thank you so much for this excellent discussion. And let's give them a big round of applause. Thank you.
Thank you.